Hello, welcome to Tech Talk. I'm Graham Hughes. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit special, at least special for me anyway. We are going to be opening up a new PC that I just got, compliments of Amazon. When I say compliments, I paid for it. This is my PC. This is not promotional. But I just wanted to go through a couple of pointers about buying used PCs off Amazon, what to expect, what kind of deal you can get, and what kind of computers are available, and are they worthwhile? Do you really save money doing it? So what I've got here in the box is an HP EliteDesk 800 G3. These are neat little units. They're a mini PC. What makes them really practical is that they're former corporate computers. And the thing about being a corporate computer is that usually these things are very well built. They'll last a very long time. You can get lots of use out of them. This computer is 5 or 6 years old, but there is lots of life in it, I suspect. So let's take a look inside the box. I've cut the tape already. I just, as soon as I got it from Amazon, I wanted to make sure that what was inside is what I was expecting. We're going to take a look at how this thing is packaged and what you can expect, and a couple of pointers on buying these things off of Amazon. So going inside, this computer, when you order it, it includes a couple of peripherals such as a keyboard and mouse. Now, I've had a couple of these and I know that the keyboard and mouse that you get is never particularly good. These are not high-end peripherals. However, they are perfectly functional. So this is a very common, very standard mouse. It's got left and right button. The scroll wheel clicks. It's an optical mouse with a cord. And you know what? Based on the ones that I've had before from the same remanufacturing company, it's probably a totally usable, totally practical mouse. It's just not really, high quality. Don't expect you're going to get this really high-end mouse. You're going to get something that's functional, and that's about it. It's going to be the same with the keyboard. These keyboards are generally generic, off-brand keyboards. They're inexpensive. And given what we paid for this computer, I wouldn't really expect anything else, to be honest. So taking a look at it, actually, this isn't that bad either. It's a corded keyboard. It's a USB keyboard. And it's just a very standard layout keyboard. Just says made in China. There's no branding on it. It does have flip-out feet on the back. But outside of that, it's just a fairly standard keyboard. It does flex a fair bit. Like when you twist it from side to side, it's a pretty flexible keyboard. It may not be the kind of thing you'll use forever, but again, to get yourself started with a cheap PC, this isn't bad. The functionality on it, I'm sure will be fine. One thing it does have that I like is lights for both caps lock and num lock. I don't know why some keyboards don't have that. I find it really handy, but at least this has it, so that's not a bad deal. I'm okay with that. Then the last thing in the box is the actual PC, and because this is a mini PC, there's a power brick. We're going to get this box out of the way. And it's kind of interesting how they package these. Inside that bigger box is a tray, and the little mini PC is actually shrink wrapped to the tray, along with the box that has the power brick in it. And as well, there's a small package here that's got a Wi-Fi dongle. Wi-Fi is not built into this computer, so this remanufacturer gives you a Wi-Fi dongle so that you can get onto your online access right away. Now, I want to mention a couple of things before we open this up about buying a refurbished PC off Amazon. So Amazon does a great job of marketing these. When you go online, it actually says Amazon Renewed, and there's an Amazon Renewed store. So it does give you the sense that you're buying something from Amazon, it's backed by Amazon. And that's true in terms of the returns. If it's an Amazon Renewed product, it's shipped by Amazon, you've got 90 days to return this for any reason. It doesn't have to be a failure. It could just be it doesn't meet your needs, you don't like it, whatever. But you do want to watch, because Amazon Renewed products aren't all the same. When you look at the listing, it'll say Amazon Renewed, but it will also tell you the name of the company that did the renewal. The Amazon Renewed program is just a series of businesses that are, I guess, endorsed or sponsored by Amazon that provide these renewed products through the Amazon website. Your experience can vary widely depending on which company you choose. Now, the computer that I got is from a company called Advanced Skytech. They're named slightly differently in the States. I'll put the US name down below here. But Advanced SkyTech, I've had a number of their computers over the years, and they've all been fantastic. Every single one that I've gotten, when I get it, it looks like new on the outside. It's clean as a whistle on the inside. The peripherals have always been reasonable, and to be honest, I don't expect a whole lot. This computer that I'm looking at here, I spent 339 Canadian dollars on it. That's like 260 or 270 US dollars. This is not a lot of money. Now, what's inside this computer is an i5-6500T processor. So that is a few years old. These were out in 2015, 2016. So you're looking at a computer that's, 6 years old or so. And the i5-6500T is a low-power mobile processor. It's a 35-watt TDP processor. However, it's a very good unit. And considering, the processor that's in it, besides the i5-6500T, it's got 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM and a 512 gigabyte SSD. Considering all that, 339 Canadian for mini PC is an excellent deal. And the reality of it is, one of the things that I'm always big on is not buying more computer than you really need. And I say that over and over and over because the fact of it is modern computers are incredibly powerful. Even though, if you buy a brand new computer today, even the lowest model computer can just do amazing things when it comes to, gaming and video editing, etc. So for a lot of people, if you're running, business applications, you're doing Word, you're doing spreadsheets, you're doing PowerPoint, you're playing 4K video, this is totally 4K 60p capable. It'll do 60 frames a second at 4K. So watching video, surfing the web, doing your emails, all that kind of stuff, a 5, 6, even a 10-year-old computer can do that easy. So why would you go out, if that's primarily what you're doing is those kinds of activities, why would you go out and spend, $1,200, $1,300 on a nice new computer when you've probably got 10 or 15 times the power that you need for what you're going to use it for? A unit like this that's 5 years old that costs, $300 will do it just as well. No problem at all. So without further ado, let's get into the actual computer and let's see what we have here. And I will say, SkyTeam, as I mentioned, I've had their products before and I've always been satisfied. Once I had a problem. I bought a mini PC like this. It was a Lenovo. And I used it for 30 days as a home theater PC. And it did fine. 4K 60 all day and night. It was a little bit, the fan was a little loud because on a mini PC like this, you're basically running a laptop processor. Doing 4K 60 video, playing it was, it wasn't overstressing it, but it was a little bit of work. And so the fan would spool up to keep it reasonably cool. And then you would get a little bit of noise, which for a home theater PC isn't the best. But I was happy with it. I was fine. But suddenly after about 30 days, I had this problem where for some reason it would just start shutting down. I'd be watching video and it would say, shutting down, and it would shut down. So I thought about it. I thought, well, I could tear into this thing. It's either a thermal problem, or I thought it could have been the power brick, because I didn't get the original Lenovo power brick. I got a generic third-party power brick, and I thought maybe a power delivery problem could have been causing it. And I thought, I could dig into this and I could figure out what the problem is. But because of the fan issue, it wasn't really the best for a home theater PC. So I bundled it all up. I didn't have the original box left. I had recycled it after about 15 days of using the computer and not having a problem. So I bundled it up in my own boxing and I sent it back to Amazon. And I got to admit, the experience returning it was just fantastic. As soon as I dropped it off at UPS, Amazon had credited my credit card back. They hadn't even received it. I could have sent them a box full of rocks for all they knew. But they credited my credit card back right away, and I had no issues with the return. I told them why I was returning it, and I had already used it for 30 days, and yeah, I got my full credit, no problem. And the reason I bring that up is because I don't hold Advanced SkyTech responsible for that really, because a bad power brick can happen, thermal problems can happen, like not everything's going to be perfect. But when there is an issue, I do like to see that the process for resolving that issue is dead simple. That's what I like to see. And in this case, that's what we had. Resolving it was as easy as can be, and I'm totally satisfied with it, and that's why I'm buying again. I bought 2 more computers just this last week from them. So let's crack this open, and we're going to take a look at what's inside here, and just see what kind of computer I got for the 300 Canadian that I spent. So my Wi-Fi dongle we're just not going to worry about. Those are generic, there's no problem there. This is my new HP Elite desk. This is the computer. It's all wrapped in cellophane. Looking at it from the outside, yeah, as typical with this company, it looks absolutely new. There's no scratches, no dents, no dings. And now let's see what we got as a power brick, because this is the one place where you do sometimes have problems. As I mentioned, the last one I suspect wasn't great. So let's see what the power brick looks like that we have here. Well, this one is actually the original manufacturer's power brick. This is an HP power brick. It's probably the one that originally came with the computer. So that's a good sign, because I don't like getting the generic ones because I know they're inexpensive. And you know, a computer, the one thing it does need, it needs good power. You don't want weird voltages, you don't want, you know, shut-offs, you don't want issues with your power. So getting the actual HP power brick that belongs with the computer, I think is great. And just like the computer, it looks, there is a tiny little scratch on it, but nothing I'd be worried about. The cords are all there, it's wrapped up, it's clean. So that's really nice to have. Now, let's take a look at this computer, and the first thing we have to do is release it from the cellophane that they've wrapped it in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get this open, and we're going to see what it's like inside, because for me, what counts on one of these computers is it clean? Because the last thing I want is a bunch of dust or dog hair or somebody's toenails in here. I want to see a computer that is basically just ready to run. Okay, yeah. And here we go. So that is what it looks like. This is my 512 gigabyte SSD. When you look inside this fan, it's always interesting because the first thing I do is I look inside the fan, and these fan blades are absolutely spotless. There's literally no dust in there at all. They are fantastic. And I always think when you buy a refurbished computer, if you look inside the fan and you don't see any gunk, you're in good shape. Same with the exhaust on the fan. And this one, the fan exhaust is absolutely clean, as are the back ports. So I've got no headaches with that. Everything inside looks like $1,000,000. It's all tied down well. The cabling is good. I don't see anything here that I should be concerned about in the slightest. The other interesting thing about these computers, even though they're tiny, one thing they do have is they have a speaker on the rear. See if we can get that to focus. There we go. That's a rear speaker, which is kind of a nice addition. In a corporate setting, often you don't have external speakers, so it's nice to have that built-in speaker. It can kind of come in handy at times. And I'm sort of glad to see that. Oh, and the other thing it has that I didn't notice to begin with is right here is a USB-C port. So that's kind of nice as well. You've got USB-C as long as your regular Type A USBs. So this is actually a great little unit. I'm really pleased with this. Sorry, that's not on the back, that's on the front. It's a great little unit. I'm pleased as punch with it. So what we're going to do, we're going to put this case back together, which just slides together like that, no problem at all. We're going to fire this thing up. We're going to hook it up to my 27-inch 1080p monitor, and we're going to see just what it does. So whenever I get one of these new refurbished PCs, one of the first things I like to do is just make sure that what I've gotten is what I was promised. Because of course, it's sometimes hard to tell just looking at the case. So now looking at the About screen on Windows, I see I've got an Intel Core i5-6500T. I've got 16 gigabytes of installed RAM and Windows 10 Pro. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. If I go to File Manager and I check out my local disk here, disk C, I see that I have a total of 476 usable gigabytes, so that's close enough. I think this computer is going to work out just fine. I think for the money I've spent, it represents an excellent deal. So I hope you found this video helpful. I wouldn't hesitate at all to go to Amazon to buy a similar computer, especially if you're not gaming on it, you're not doing intensive tasks like editing 4K video. This will probably do most of the things you want if you're just doing general computing. For me, as a computer to learn on, I think it's excellent. But as I mentioned, the one thing to do, don't just rely on the fact that it's Amazon renewed. Make sure you check what company is renewing it and that the reviews are good. Because the experience I've had with this particular company, Advanced SkyTech, has always been very, very good. But if you're using a different company, you may end up with different results.